Look in my eyes. What do you see? The cult of personality. It's happened, people. I can finally say this for the first time since early 2014. And oh, you better believe I've been saying it a lot every other video when I get a chance. CM Punk return. Confirmed! Oh yes, it happened last night on WWE Backstage, you know, that little FS1 studio show, which is hosted by Renee Young and Booker T, the one that reportedly had CM Punk audition for a host role and then not get it. That was the word from Fightful. That was the last we heard about all that. CM Punk said that it wasn't going to be a thing. He hadn't heard anything from them since his audition. And, you know, you've also got to think, but it's a wrestling person talking about a wrestling thing. I smell a worky McWork face, the technical term for someone making something up. But then we had last week's premiere of WWE Backstage, where they had all these big plans to launch the show because it's part of Fox's $1 billion 5-year deal to get SmackDown over there. Part of that deal was that they would also have a studio-like show, like all the ESPN-style stuff, to make it feel like a real sport, really. But they were meant to have Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman say they're quitting SmackDown to go to Raw. That had to be hotshot over to the previous Friday SmackDown because of the Saudi Arabia travel situation. So last week's WWE Backstage, the proper premiere, although they had a few little bits here and there, like one-off specials in the lead up to that launch, didn't really have anything big to launch it with. I think they announced the Tyson Fury stuff. They had WWE... the Tyson Fury, they announced the look at Bray Wyatt's custom Universal title belt, which was just the reveal of his side plates, and John Cena phoned in. Nothing really happened, and that resulted in the ratings being really, really poor. 49,000 people tuned in. More people watch the WrestleTalk live reviews with me and Luke sometimes than who watched an actual WWE show on Fox. I don't know if that caused Fox to panic and go, hey, WWE, if WWE blocked CM Punk returning, we don't know, but maybe they go, hey, we paid a lot of money here. We want Punk on WWE Backstage. He did really well in the auditions. Let's get him in here. So on the second episode, which is a bit weird because you'd think you'd bring back Punk on the debut episode if that was always the plan, at the end of last night's WWE Backstage, CM Punk walked out right at the end of the show to close it. I am going to watch that clip right here so you can get my real life... I mean, I've watched it quite a few times already. But you can get my real-life Glee reactions and squeam. So the WWE Backstage set has... it's like a ring, it's like a wrestling ring, and the presenters stand inside it. We got Renee Young, she's the main host. Booker T is sort of the main co-host. Paige is always there for some reason. Samoa Joe's injured at the moment, so he pops around a lot, he's there. And Adam Cole, who was a guest. So let's press play. Paige is just doing some weird dancing. Paige here. And Renee Young starts to tease that there's loads of history-making moments. So why don't WWE Backstage do one? And then she says, 3, 2, 1. And then the freaking static hits. And then Cult of Personality starts playing in full. And it just cuts to some doors, which say Fox on that open. And here comes CM Punk, dressed in like a white t-shirt and a little bomber jacket thing. He's got the short cropped hair. Just a normal bit of stubble on his beard. We haven't got the Logan Wolverine era of Punk facial design. He gets in the ring. He breathes. He sort of poses. I do love this bit. As soon as Punk comes in, he walks over to the camera and he says, I don't know if you heard it, as soon as they think they've got the answers, I change. And of course, the usual line here is the questions. I change the questions. Getting emotional. But he says culture, which is, a very grandiose Punk thing to say. Totally fits within what he used to be like. And as he steps towards the camera, because he's right up close there, you can't see him at all. because the lighting has him completely silhouetted. All the lights are on the 5 people back behind him. And then he says, just to finish this clip off, "I'll see you here next week." And that's it. So reportedly, well, not reportedly, he's freaking going to be there next week as a periodic contributor to the show, whatever that means. It's just, it's great, isn't it? It's great, and I'm very excited because Punk is back in Punk, look, it's not about Punk being back in WWE. I'm going to put up a WrestleTalk news video later, which will have all the details and the backstage stuff that's reportedly gone down and all the situations that are built to this happening. So this is more just me personally reacting to this deal, this return, because it's something I've wanted so long. But I don't know if I wanted the CM Punk return to WWE. I think, looking at the wrestling landscape right now, I would have much preferred CM Punk to go to AEW. Because Punk's character, just look at his very name. He's a punk. He's an anti-authoritarian figure. There's that wonderful image. When I think Punk, I either think of him sitting cross-legged at the top of the Raw entrance ramp, cutting that promo straight into the fourth wall. "Hey, Colt Cabana, how you doing?" Wearing that Stone Cold Steve Austin t-shirt. One of the most awesome wrestling moments I've ever had, and I've spoken about it a lot before, but if it wasn't for CM Punk and how I got into him so hard in that dark period of WWE, I don't know if I'd be a wrestling fan today. The Nexus in 2010 over SummerSlam, that whole angle, which ran through to about November, nearly finished me off. It certainly drove me away from WWE programming for quite a few months. I went over to watch Ring of Honor. That's when I started to get into sort of the UK indies as well. TNA at this time had also started its heavy decline from that January 4th, 2010 launch with Hulk Hogan and Eric Bischoff, and all those big things that we thought were going to happen with TNA didn't materialize. So I was on the ropes. It was that spot where you just let the arm drop a few times in the submission, and my hand, just like The Rock, was about to hit the mat. But then CM Punk cut that pipe bomb promo, and I just, it came back. And then there was Money in the Bank 2011, which is not just one of my favourite matches of all time with him and John Cena, just a perfectly booked match. Don't worry about what came afterwards, but just in that moment. And also an absolutely fantastic pay-per-view overall. That saved me from being a wrestling fan, and I was obsessed with Punk. Ever since then, I liked him a lot beforehand, but ever since then, he was my guy. And then he did the ultimate FU to that company by walking out at the start of January 2014. And then all these things happened. He tried his hand at UFC and MMA. He wrote some comic books. He did a lot of TV presenting, the Beastmaster stuff for Netflix. And I really, and he's acting now as well, I really appreciated that he went away from that company because, we all know what WWE's like. The reports, the way they treat a lot of their performers, not just on camera and how badly stuff is booked and the problems there, but much more back then. It seems to be a lot better now, but, we're talking 2011 through to 2015. That you couldn't sneeze backstage without getting heat. And there are all these stories. It seems like a real toxic working environment. So and then, you got the stories since with the Dr. Chris Amann suing CM Punk and Colt Cabana for defamation because of their podcast claims, and how CM Punk kind of accused Vince McMahon and WWE of funding that by proxy, really, to screw with his head. And it just so happened that court case was delayed until his second UFC fight. It was like the week before, when he should have been really going hard in training, and he had this whole legal case to deal with instead. The fact that he got served his WWE termination papers on the day of his wedding to still currently contracted WWE wrestler AJ Lee. All of those stories that he tells just makes you think, you did the right thing by getting out of WWE. And now, in 2019, when the idea of him coming back seemed to be thawing in his head, maybe he'd go to AEW. The Young Bucks are there. Cody's there. some of the best wrestlers in the world are there. And they're trying to create this true alternative and one that puts these wrestlers first and their performers. And he was at Starrcade. And I just thought if CM Punk returned, he would go there because that's fitting within that anti-authoritarian move. But he's gone to WWE, and I can't deny that I'm a little bit sad about that. But I am also more overwhelmingly happy that he's back. But there's another thing. I'm sure that this, in the moment, yes, CM Punk, he's there. I hear his music. This is the greatest thing of all time. Sure, but also, this is CM Punk's WWE return. I know it's not... He could still make an in-ring return at some point. But this is really his comeback to the company. And of all the storyline things you could have done, the surprise, the shock, the teaser promo vignettes that could be running up to it, so much potential was there. And I can't have a studio show on FS1. So that makes me a little bit sad as well. But I feel that it's kind of wasted by Punk just coming back for overall really good. It's like when Kurt Angle returned, because Kurt Angle was another guy I just wanted to see back in WWE for so long, just for one last run, because he was having fantastic matches in TNA near the end of his career there, and then he had a select few matches on the indie scene where he was just brilliant, and then he comes back. His big announcement is, here's a little Hall of Fame package. He's being inducted. I'm like, you could have done so much more there. So, yeah, we'll see. I mean, a lot of people are saying in the chat here, well, he's number 30 in the Royal Rumble. And I think that's a fair pick. Like, if WWE were to do the biggest thing here, that would be the huge comeback angle that would work. But I can't help but feel that would have been even better if this hadn't happened first. I would have preferred just number 30 in the Royal Rumble as opposed to, here he comes back on a studio show for FS1. It is important to note that probably the reason this has happened is because this show is controlled and directed by Fox. So CM Punk is more working for Fox, not WWE here. It's kind of like when Goldberg or Sting came back to WWE when they were announced as the cover stars or pre-order download bonus microtransaction extravaganzas for the 2K games. And they come back there, and that would sort of ease the transition of Vince McMahon saying, there is a big demand for them to come back here. Business is business. Let's bring Sting in. Let's bring back Goldberg. Let bygones be bygones, or in Sting's case, let's finally bring him in. And there is a track record for that sort of those sequence of events to follow on from when other companies affiliated with WWE bring back people who are previously persona non grata. I think that's how you say it. People who aren't welcome anymore. But yes, let's just see what a few people are saying in the comments. Wouldn't tease a guy who isn't appearing on for an in-ring WWE TV, especially when he isn't contracted to them. Jordan is saying, we've got a live chat here from James McCall. Daniel Bryan could be the most over face ever, but he isn't because of WWE. Why would Punk be used any differently if he was to return to action? It's a fair point. Dat Natural Herb, what if what CM Punk said was a shot at AEW? Your thoughts? I don't think so. It is a shame he didn't go to AEW. I mean, there is a part of me that is thinking, maybe this is Punk's genius plan. How do you really screw with WWE? Do you show up on AEW, just first? Or do you show up on WWE's Fox show and then show up on AEW? That will be the next level thing. But I'll be back later today with a full news video on this to go through all the details and the backstage reports and the tweets and what exactly happened and me just going crazy around a park, which I filmed upon hearing the news. So make sure to subscribe. Please press the thumbs up button. Let me know what you think of CM Punk's return in the comments down below. I'll try and get to as many comments as possible. Whether he'll even return to in-ring action for WWE or if this is just strictly a on-screen presenter role thing. But please press the videos that have just appeared on the desk to catch up with the latest awesome WrestleTalk things. Give us that subscribe, press the thumbs up button, share this video around as well. And I've been Ollie Davis, and that, finally, was CM Punk return confirmed.